listening. The name is Law Nation. Come on. They say ain't no party like a cowboy party. What about a bye week party? The league is wide open. I got to give you guys my thoughts. I got to give you guys my opinions of the situation. Cowboy Nation, without hesitations nor deviation to the matter. Be sure to tune in to this. Come on. As the room fill up, shout out to all my dogs. Appreciate you so much for being part of this episode. You can check it out on multiple outlets. Shout out to you. Let's go. Yo. Come on. Mama said there'll be days just like this. Come on. Yeah. We build a plane while it's in the air. Come on. All right. Appreciate y'all so much. Like I said, the name is Law Nation. We're gonna talk about this NFL in general. Let me make sure. Let me know if the audio is straight before we go too far down here. Let me know if everything, you guys can hear me pretty good. All right. So here's the thing. The Dallas Cowboys in this NFL, for the first time in a long time, the NFL is wide open. It is wide open. Don't y'all see the NFL for what it is? Did the Jets win today? And I know y'all can talk about, hey, divisional game, blah, blah, blah. But did the Jets beat the Bills today? Right? Y'all let me know. And this NFL seems as if, though, if you put things around a team, you can really make things happen. Shout out to Eastside Harold, man. That's my guy Eastside, man. We were worried about you, man. We were rooting for your team this weekend. That's probably why y'all lost, huh? But on a lighter note, he says, how about them Houston MFing Astros? So somebody's winning in Houston, and it's his Astros, and shout out to them for what they do. Appreciate them. And for those who don't know who Eastside Harold is on the Facebook, he is a loyal citizen of Houston, and he loves his teams in Houston, and he drops by from time to time. All right, so here's what I wanted to say about this team heading off the bye. We're 6-2. We heard news and noise and all type of other things about, hey, we couldn't win the Jerry Jeudy sweepstake, right? The Cowboys didn't want to reach into that money and spend that, plus give up draft compensations and a whole bunch of other things. So we lost out on that. We lost out on my guy Eastside Harold, guy Brandon Cooks, because they didn't want to pay the $18 million guarantee. They didn't want to do that. And it was like, hey, we're not going to pay the man money plus give you draft compensation. So we ain't finna do that around here in Dallas. We love our guys. We like our draft picks too. So we don't want to do that. So there's news processes out naturally. There's this other wide receiver who got sized for a Super Bowl ring this offseason by the name of Odell Beckham. For those who don't know, I called him Odella. So I'm not the biggest fan of Odell, but I understand and I know talent when I see one, right? I'm not finna sit here and lie to kick it to you guys. I can literally see that Odell is better than Noah Brown. Odell would be better than Jalen Tolbert. Odell Beckham would be better than probably James Washington. But the thing that they're going to sell to us is that James Washington.
Simply because you don't have evidence that something does exist does not mean that you have evidence that something doesn't exist.
And then also,
well, what I'm saying is that there are known knowns and that there are known unknowns, but there's also unknown unknowns. Things we don't know that we don't know.
And James Washington could be that guy, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't got clips of him doing it in a Cowboys uniform or in an 8 and a 3 because that's his number, by the way. And I'm looking at it like this. We all have our hopes that James Washington can come into the mix and help us get to that next level on the wide receiver situation. And I'm not dogging Noah Brown, and I'm not dogging CeeDee Lamb, nor am I dogging, what's this other guy name that wears 13? Oh, Michael Gallup. I'm not doing that, no. But what I'm trying to do is better my best. I don't care. Look, on Baby Boy, remember, old boy was saying, girl, I lie to you because I care about your feelings. Yeah? I ain't finna be lying to y'all because I care about your feelings. I'm out here to tell you the truth, and I know that you guys probably be allergic to it, but I'm gonna say it.
What, the truth? You can't handle the truth.
It's just what it is. Bring them in for a cup of coffee, and you let them know, hey, this is what we need. I need you to be out here far as your understanding and knowledge of the game to help out this dude that wear 88 on his chest, to help out this dude that also wear 13. Now, we don't have number 3 for you, but I'm for sure the Cowboys can arrange something. Maybe put 19 on him, put 19 on Odell Beckham, But that could be the situation there. Speculation is speculations. You're right. Let me put the chat up so everybody can see. And I appreciate everybody for jumping in. Yeah, speculation is speculation, Lance Bell. Yeah. And here's another thing that I have to bring to the table. According to Glazer, that Odell is expecting to clear all medical clearances by the end of this week. Now, that could be putting lipstick on a pig. We got to see him run routes ourselves with our natural eyes. We got to see him out there on the field, and those are things that we would have to sit back and wait. But from what I can see from the NFL, it's wide open. There's really no team that's a clear runaway in the National Football League. And I know I'm going to hear a few Eagles fans say, but we 8-0, we undefeated. Fly, Eagles, fly to the land of no victory. You're going to hear that from them and their fan base. Fly, Eagles, fly. They 8-0, but when I looked at the tape, it looked like they struggled to beat the Houston Texans, right? And that's how they actually sound, by the way. Yeah? Fly, Eagles, fly. Hey, I kid you not. I was watching my daughter the other day, and the show came on. It's Stephen Maggie. I said, wait a minute, hold on. Don't they have the Eagles show? The Eagles got a show out there on YouTube. It's called Stephen Maggie. This sounds just like him. Look it up. I kid you guys not. And I said, all I could think of, that's the voice that I use for when I hear the Eagles talk. Yeah, it's Stephen Maggie. Wow. So somebody going to be typing in Stephen Maggie show. All you got to do is replace that blackbird and put the eagle bird up there. It'll be the same show, Refs help them too, especially on that first opening series there, though. It is what it is, Cowboy Nation. I'm not going to pull out Monty, I-Rock, until you got a funny name. You got a funny YouTube name. But I'm not going to pull that tape out until December. That's just what it is. Unless a team have something worthy of me pulling out the full Monty, baby. Odell is another vet that we can use. This is from my guy Tavis. Yeah, I do look at that. And speaking of that, let's play a little of this audio from Stephen Maggie.
Time since I've covered the team have been that they're not going to be a team that makes big moves, not only just at the trade deadline, but just in trades in general. I mean, the only one that's happened since I've covered the team is really the Amari Cooper deal. And I just didn't get the sense that they they feel they need a receiver as badly as they did at that time. At that time, it was really evident the team was struggling. On top of it, I mean, this team's 6-2. And so as much as I think that they needed to add a wide receiver, I don't think they felt they needed to add one as badly. But the fact that they were at least making calls and there was interest at wide receiver, if I'm going to sell any hope to any Cowboys fans, hey, maybe this just in some way, some small way, ratchets up maybe some December interest in Odell Beckham.
All right, so that is from John Machota. He was on 105.3 The Fan with my guy Reggie and Kelvin. Really appreciate both of those guys over there putting in some hard work, and this was previously this week or last week, basically. So what I want to say is this right here, Cowboy Nation. The Dallas Cowboys, this league is so wide open right now. I don't see a team that's like light years ahead of one of another, right? It used to be years that we look at this league and say, hey, man, that team look like it's really unstoppable. Hey, that team got a solid, sound defense, man. You know, or that team look like the quarterback, he ain't going to make a lot of mistakes. Oh, excuse me. Look at the coaching staff and what they're doing over there, you know. But this seems and feels so right that all the Cowboys have to do, and I'm not saying that Odell is the answer. You know, let me preface my statement. You know, let me preface my statement when I say this. The answer would be, shout out to my guy Big Game James, 30 for 30, run the ball, right? Split that thing. I don't want to see Dak Prescott actually throwing the ball over 30, right? I actually got him in the range of 24 to maybe 27 max. But the real deal will be this dude by the name of Tony Pollard. You know, run the ball with him. Make sure that you do not go through a game with him only seeing the ball 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. You got to figure out in your mind, in your head, to give this man 10 touches. Minimum. What's the minimum sentences? 10. You got to at least give this man 10 touches. You don't. Unless it's so blown out of the water, then you can roll and parlay some other things. And the sword to the sledgehammer or the sledgehammer to the sword, it doesn't matter. Don't make this a situation where you play into the hands of the 4 ladder, the 5 ladder, the 3 ladder, whatever ladder there is out there, that one is better than the other. No. Sometimes when you fighting in war, sometimes you need the slinky. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need the slingshot, you know, the slinky to confuse people, right? You know, all weapons are necessary. The pocket knife, sure. I watched that movie with Idris. You know, he had to fight the lion. He pulled out a pocket knife. Sometimes you may need the pocket knife. Sometimes you may need your machete. Sometimes you need your machine gun. But what Kellen Moore have to stick to is making sure that he used the sword when necessary and used the sledgehammer when necessary. You know what I'm saying? Y'all feel what I'm saying with my analogy, you know, and metaphors and all of those things. So I just look at it from that aspect of it. And the Cowboys, I truly see that when we look back at the tape, yes, the tape, and I know the biggest thing that a lot of people have reservations on is, can the Cowboys stop the run, right? That's the biggest thing. What the Cowboys will do when a team got a lot of physicality. What the Cowboys will do when they get punched in the mouth and they're down by 10, right? Or they can't fool around and move the ball. Are they wise enough to play the field, to not be greedy, kick the field goal, punt it away, trust your defense? Those are things that down the line that I hope that the Cowboys get better at, believe it or not. However, when you look back at the tape against the Chicago Bears, majority of the runs was on the outside. They didn't run it in the middle. Big Jonathan Hankins, he did his job. And there are some articles out there, Cowboy Nation, and ladies and gentlemen, from the Washington team. You know, although they lost, they gave the Vikings a run for their money, and the Vikings didn't. Their record just as flawed as other teams, right? The Vikings didn't really dominate in that game, right? But one can argue and say, hey, You seen Ridgeway? Now I do know he wet the bed by jumping over the center, knocking him down. But Ridgeway been a good number for them. And the Cowboys fumbled the bag because we end up cutting him or pretty much putting him on the practice squad, who we drafted with a 5th-round draft pick for. And he's being utilized and used somewhere else. And the guy that we held on to a little bit too long was Tristan Hill. I tell people all the time, a double-minded person is wicked in all thy ways, right? That's what the good book said. You can't be lukewarm with it. So at some point, you can't have your foot halfway in and halfway out, right? What other evaluation that you had to say from Tristan Hill? He's been here for a long stay. You're supposed to continue to do the proper evaluation of Ridgeway. You guys get what I'm saying? So, yes, if you knew that you was froggy on Tristan Hill, why hold him for those extra weeks? And if I heard this before, I want you guys to listen. Unstable, yes. If they're even or a little bit better, then you go with the youth. You go with the size, right? We can literally say that, okay, if we kept Hill, then this wouldn't have happened, right? And if we kept Ridgeway, that wouldn't have happened. No. The Cowboys, they kind of made up ground for picking up Jonathan Hankins. But I'm sitting here scratching my head now saying that, hey, the Cowboys had big beef inside, and it could have been stupid good with this. Close your eyes and imagine. Big Bo, Big Jonathan, and Ridgeway. It would have been even better. But that's a story of another day. All right, so, and because he was injured. Yeah, shout out to you, Aaron Pitts. Appreciate you. We went with the size, yeah. Are we still investigating? No, I don't think. All right. Who we got over here? Appreciate you, Brandy. Thank you so much. Let's listen to the rest of this. And Keith, appreciate you with the best. Appreciate you. And Willie Morton Jr., appreciate you for the 99 stars. Shout out to everybody on the Star Gang and on the Facebook group. I really appreciate your love with the stars for helping me grow over here. Thank y'all so much.
So, John, obviously, I think we're all speaking about the reported interest that they had and discussions that they were having with the Texans on maybe making a deal for Brandon Cooks. Do you have any further insight or any ideas of what the discussions looked like for Brandon Cooks?
I don't. I saw some of those reports too, and
it's a little day behind,
just to be completely honest with you guys, when it happened, one of the first things I thought of when I saw that is this sounded a lot like the when right before Dak hit the deadline on the first franchise tag, and when he ended up playing under the tag. I don't know if you guys remember at the time, but there were some reports that came out that they were really close and they started talking right before the deadline and they just couldn't get it done. I don't buy into that stuff. If you really are.
Oh, John Rashada, he's telling it how it is. I love it. And shout out to John. Appreciate him, man. He wasn't buying that. The Cowboys, man, the story of we almost close always sells more than, hey, they actually picked the guy up almost, right? There's storylines upon storyline. Hey, man, boy, in the last hour, in the 12th hour, we was almost close, but, we just couldn't get there. That storyline sells more. Think about this. Contextualize it as this, Cowboy Nation. Close but no cigar, right? Contextualize it like this. There's no other team in the National Football League that have multiple stories about the deal that didn't go through, but the Cowboys do have those storylines every year. I'm to the belief that even if Odell Beckham goes to another team, if he's not even ultimately signed by the Cowboys, right, that there will be a report, a news, an article, whereas he flew in, he worked out, and he was almost close, but the deal was sweeter in the Buffalo Bills area, or the deal was sweeter elsewhere, right? We always hear that storyline, the close but no cigar. We heard it before, we heard it twice. Twine Twine. We heard it from Von Millerkamp, right? Hey, he was waiting for his call. He had his whole pep rally in DeSoto right down the street from Dallas. Everybody, mama, uncle, cousin, if you're from the local area, you already know that Von Miller, he don't like the Cowboys. He loved the Cowboys. Bumped into some of his family members just the other day. Hey, you Law Nation, man, my cuz really wanted to play, dog. Yeah, they just never picked up the phone. He was just sitting there waiting, watching, right? And the other one, Zadarius, what's his name? Zadarius this offseason, Smith, playing for the Vikings. Y'all remember that storyline? The Cowboys were close, but, it was kind of iffy on the back situation. Go back, rewind the tape. I told you guys, hey, this dude can still generate numbers, because if this situation in Cowboys land and what he was doing over there in Green Bay, etc., he would have a good situation. And then he ended up going to Baltimore for a cup of coffee. Baltimore contract didn't finalize, and he went back to Minnesota Vikings. Y'all remember that whole storyline? Close. The Cowboys are close, but just can't really close the deal. I guess the deadline make deals situation. Beast Mode said he wanted Zadarius Smith, right? And I could recall that there was a lot of people saying that he's injury prone and he's no good. He's a shell of himself and he'll be a horrible pickup. And they kind of liken it to the other guy that we picked up in the past in 2020. I forgot his name. It's the tip of my tongue. Alden Smith or something like that. Who Alden Smith, by the way, didn't play that terribly in 2020. No, it was the other guy from the Minnesota team. Forgot his name. But he was Everson, I believe, Griffin. They were like, man, he going to be like Everson Griffin. Law, you don't need him. I feel you. Right now, Dorrance Armstrong is doing a decent job. But he is this. When you look back at the tape and you look at the sack numbers, that's cool. But he is literally this dude setting the edge. What's going on with Dorrance Armstrong? Those things, when you go back and relook at the tape, you sit there and say, hey, man, his run-stopping ability on the edge is coming from him, right? I think that right now, that although Dorrance Armstrong got a lot of sacks, right, and I'm not trying to say I'm reverse, not trying to eat the crow, and I don't want to hear Boss Cowboy. Don't you come over here, Boss Cowboy, and say, hey, Law, see, that's why I don't eat the crow. But what I'm saying is that I think that right now Sam Williams is pretty dog good against the run, and he probably need more snaps. And I know he didn't play last game due to his knee situation, but there seems to be a situation that the Cowboys may need help in the future. But we may be okay with Sam Williams if he can get that starter role. But let's listen to more what they have to say.
Are going to get something done, in advance, hey, this is what we're offering, this is what we're doing. But then again, I guess it could be different because I'm looking at it from a Dak Prescott contract perspective. And in this perspective, you're also dealing with another team, in this case, the Texans, who maybe they were playing a little chicken with the Cowboys and a few other teams to think that, hey, somebody will come in here and they'll take whatever this, what we're looking for and what we want, and we'll get this type of draft compensation. And then all of a sudden, maybe in the final, 10, 15 minutes, they didn't get what they were looking for. But I don't know that I buy that. It came down to just, the clock down to the last few seconds. I think that all sides involved were just probably not as close as what's being reported.
Right.
John, when you look at this team now going forward, based on not making a move at the trade deadline, do you still see something possibly happening in the free agent market, Odell Beckham Jr., or anything else? Or is this team pretty much where they are now after acquiring Jonathan Hankins on this defensive line?
Yeah, I don't think that they're necessarily this is it. Odell is certainly one that, until he signs somewhere else, that has to be on the radar.
Right.
Of course, he has to come back and show that he's healthy, and I would think that he would need to play in some regular season games before you'd want him to play in any playoff games. But even with him coming off a second ACL injury, I just, if he can show that knee is healthy, Odell, I would be surprised if he doesn't have something to offer. He was such a huge part of taking that Rams team and putting them over the top last year. I don't see why a year later he couldn't do something similar for a team like the Cowboys. And judging by everything that I've seen reported about his injury and him coming back and what he wants to do, everything I've heard is it's all Super Bowl related. I want to go to a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl. And so for all those that would think, oh, well, then he's just going to go back to the Rams. That was the talk, before the season started. Well, they're not looking that great right now. And then you have teams like Buffalo and obviously Green Bay. But I think if the Cowboys really wanted him and just the way that Odell is in terms of his play style, he's a big personality, reminds me in a lot of ways of Des Bryant. They're friends. I've always seen a lot of similarities between those two. I mean, I could see him really loving that idea of being the guy that ends up helping the Cowboys put everything over the top. And so until he signs with another team, I would not close the door on that. But I mean, there's other possibilities out there. I wouldn't say that they're completely set with this lineup. I mean, especially if wide receiver play doesn't get better on the team.
No doubt. Great analysis from John Machota, by the way. Check him out on Twitter. Just wonderful for what he do on Twitter and beyond, and his writing ability is just crazy. My thing is with Odell. I absolutely get it. Cowboys, you look at the stats and the numbers and say, hey, man, it's very comparable to Gallup, right? For what Gallup brings to the table, right? His numbers, his stats in the last few years are very comparable to X, Y, and Z. Nevertheless, when you look at the total way of defensive back play, him versus others on this team, they got to give Odell respect versus Noah Brown. They got to give Odell respect, believe it or not, over CeeDee Lamb, because one thing that you don't want to happen is someone showing up, right, flexing on you after a catch or being that momentum, that spark and igniter, right? And that's what he was able to bring to the table for the Rams, that assurance, right? Not just insurance, but the assurance to know that, hey, this guy, if I throw it and I close my eyes and say, for the love of Allah, and he throws it and then he comes down with the ball, that helps. No one last year threw more interceptions than Stafford, by the way, so, or it was tied for him and some other guy. But you guys get what I'm saying. This team, heading down the stretch, got to understand that you're looking for any way that you can get an edge over the opposition. And keep in mind, even the trash can get a steak here and there, objectively speaking, positively speaking too. So the Cowboys need to look into that. On the flip side, I heard today on the show, Big Mike McCarthy, he said that this guy is about a week out. And y'all know who I'm talking about. James Washington. He's about a week out, and he may be that guy.
You must be out of your goddamn mind.
No, I'm not. He may be that guy too. This is the thing. When you wait too late, right, to apologize, or you wait too long to get along, you have to really reach down into the hearts of hearts and say, I hope that this guy can pan out. I hope that this situation can work out. I hope, because that's where we at right now. Come on, baby. If you team James Washington, let me know in the chat, baby. Action Power says, stop the cap. Lord, I love it, baby. If you team James Washington, please put it in the, please put it in the caption below. Or just put in 83. I roll with that too. Just put it down, because y'all already know anything can happen. You know how it goes, Cowboy Nation. It could just be his time to shine. I was wrong on a few players, and he could be the last one that make everybody else wrong on him.
Stop the cap.
When you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud too.
John, I was about to bring it up, but we got someone on the truckwreck.com text line saying, why do you think Tristan Hill got released? And that was something that maybe slid a little bit under the radar, as it wasn't a trade, but it was a move that they made. What was the decision-making behind Tristan Hill being released and moved on from by these Cowboys?
I'll tell you, one of the most interesting things around this time of year in the NFL is trying to just track certain guys that aren't playing. You know, you're like, why isn't this guy out there right now this week or whatever like that? And there is that little bit of they don't want to play that certain player because they are trying to shop that player. They don't want them to go out there and get hurt. And so for that, I'm bringing that up because I see some of that with potentially the Tristan Hill being inactive this past week, and then also where Terrell Basham is, where with him coming back from injury, and he's pretty close. I think what it came down to is that they're pretty loaded on the defensive line.
Before he go more into that, let me give you guys a nugget. You know what I'm saying? Don't you guys know that the best off-season edge guy, in my opinion, was Terrell Basham? He was everywhere. Don't you guys know we're midway in the season? What will he have that a third of the NFL don't? Oh, let me give you guys the answer. Fresh legs. Fresh legs. It could be that Terrell Basham started the downfall of Russell Wilson's season with the Denver Broncos, shattered the 1-2 step confidence in that particular program because he did pick off Russell Wilson, you know. So I'm not trying to give you guys so much Kool-Aid that you be Kool-Aid drunk with law. But don't it feels good? You know, don't it feels good to know that we got these type of reinforcements? Now, I don't know how Terrell Basham is against the run, by the way, but I'm going to take a look at some of his old clips from last year and see what he does best against the run. But I know for sure he's a pass rusher type of guy, and he's crazy athletic. We got so much problems with the edge, and it's a good problem, by the way, because we got freakish athletic guys. I just want to press that one more time.
And it became a numbers game, and so it was probably going to have to be Tristan Hill or Basham, and Basham brings more value. I mean, he can rush the passer. You could argue last season was the best season of his career. Whereas Tristan Hill does a lot of similar things that Neville Gallimore does. They just added Jonathan Hankins. This is a team that, I mean, not just this team, but most teams, you know, on those third downs, when you're looking for someone to rush the passer, that's generally when they're bringing more DNs out on the field, not more, you know, three technique defensive tackle types. And so I think it came down to Neville Gallimore and Tristan Hill. And Terrell Basham gets mixed in there as well. And I think that they just decided it's a tough decision. We'd like to keep Tristan Hill, but we got to get rid of somebody. And so it ultimately ended up being him.
Tough.
John Machota of The Athletic joining us right here on the Get Right Revenge KG on 105 through the fan via the Diamond Factory hotline. So now as we spin this forward here, this team on its bye week, 6-2, sole possession of second place in the NFC East, right in the thick of it, in the NFC playoff picture altogether. How does this team move forward now, and what do you believe the ceiling is for this team given what they currently have on this roster?
All right, so that's a great question before John Machota goes. It's wide open, baby. That's why I said the league is wide open. I should have carved it in and said the NFC is wide open, but the league is wide open. The league, you know, Cincinnati hot and cold, right? The Bills, they just lost to the Jets, right? Oh, my goodness. Aaron Rodgers, he looking like a shell of himself, throwing 3 picks, 1 tub, right? Yeah, come on. And I said, don't y'all say that this game against the Green Bay Packers will be a trap game, because I'll be upset and angry with you. You know, I look at Green Bay as a national enemy of ours, right? And every time we play Green Bay, I don't care if they had went back and brought Ty Detmer or somebody, they pull Brett Favre out of retirement. You know, I want to bring physical pain to those boys, you know, and if make them holler my name, we all gonna die. But you know what I'm saying? We bleed through similar veins, baby. I want them to feel it, right? Bring it. We right here, and we ain't going anywhere. Cowboys, baby. I can't stand the Green Bay Packers. On my soul, I can't stand them. And I know y'all feeling the same way, man. Hey, the Jets are 6-3 this Choctaw, Montana. Yeah, so what I'm saying is the league is wide open. You're right. It's supposed to be a year-to-year league, but every now and then, man, a team come out of their ashes. It's been a long time, baby. It's been a long time. Mike says Eagles, Vikes, Hawks, Boys, Brady. Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons, they lost today, right? But they gave a run for their money. They did. They gave a run for who they played. Did they play I got it right here while I'm guessing. Let me see if I can pull it up. Here we go. Okay, game tonight. Titans versus Chiefs. And, that's AFC, so it's not even our conference. They play the Chargers. Chargers pull one out, right? I was saying the Falcons might get that in, but, I'm going to have to take a shot for that because I think I picked the Falcons over the Chargers. And I think Twin, he picked the Chargers. The Bears. Okay. I think we both picked the Dolphins, so we going to be good on that. Bengals, C42. Last week, they was looking like what's on the bottom of most people's feet, and now look at them. And the Packers, 9-15. I think that guy, he threw, let me see what he threw. A QBR. He was 23 for 43, 291 yards, 1 tub, 3 INTs. He was sacked one time, and he got a QBR of 24.8 against the Lions. And I wonder, like Steven, will ESPN, the 3-ladder, the 4-ladder network see this? You know what I'm saying? I wonder, will they talk about the 24.8 QBR? I don't want to hear, well, Lord, he don't have any targets as far as a wide receiver. I thought that he's supposed to elevate the wide receiver. I thought that when you got a superior arm like an Aaron Rodgers, that you're supposed to be able to pick up somebody from Walmart and you're supposed to go down there to Rite Aid and Dollar General and say, hey, y'all want to run some routes? I'm Aaron Rodgers. Nobody can stop me, So he's supposed to be able to still win that. Alan Lazard and all of those other guys, Tanyan and all of those boys, because that was the levels of expectations that was bestowed upon us, right? That you can literally have a great quarterback and they can elevate anyone, right? So, yeah, Sam, I will be petty. Yes, he's supposed to be able to elevate me. They supposed to be able to call my phone and say, Lord, are you willing to go to Wisconsin to catch balls from Aaron Rodgers? And Aaron Rodgers is supposed to make me look like the next coming of the playmaker, because that's going to be my move when I get that first down, right? At the age of 40, I'm supposed to be able to get out there and do some things, right? But it don't appears that way. Now, Aaron, keep that same energy, because we don't want you next week all of a sudden connecting the dots. We want you to keep that same energy. Come on, baby.
Well, I still think the ceiling of this team is they can get to the Super Bowl. They obviously would have to stay. They'd have to stay in pretty good fortunes in terms of the injury department. You can't lose a Micah Parsons or DeMarcus Lawrence or Trayvon or Dak or some of these other guys, CeeDee Lamb and such. So they're going to have to be fortunate there, stay relatively healthy on the offensive line. But if that happens, this is a team that I do think, Kevin, you mentioned on when we were doing the Media Mash podcast earlier today about that San Francisco loss in the playoffs and how, they out-physicaled the Cowboys. And I think there is a learning experience from that. And I don't know that we'll see that exact same team this year in a playoff situation. And so, even though they didn't make a move today, I still think they're completely in the hunt. And as much as I'm saying this because of how well I think the team's playing and what they've been able to overcome already this season, mainly losing Dak and still being 6-2 right now. It's also, you look at the landscape of the NFC. There just isn't. I mean, the Eagles are clearly the best team in the NFC, and I don't think that anybody looked at the way the Cowboys played them with Cooper Rush at quarterback and thought, oh, geez, how do you ever beat this Eagles team? I mean, so. The NFC is there for the taking. Now, you got to get to the Super Bowl, and then when you get there, you have to face the Bills or Chiefs.
Barring
That's another
injuries.
story.
Yeah.
But as far as the NFC goes, I think that they're right there with all of them.
We're talking to John Machota. And John, I think we've reached the pinnacle of Tony Pollard talk in around the nation at this point. And if we've had a lot of conversations over years at this point of Tony Pollard getting touches and getting more involved, and this is the first year that seemed like they've done a little bit more, and of course out of necessity they really had to give it to him, and he produced this way. What is the ideal mix of Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, and do you trust this organization and especially this coaching staff to actually hit that number or hit that mark?
Oh, before he answer that, I appreciate you, Keith Best the second. Man, that's a dope name right there. The Best. I like that name, Keith Best, on Facebook with the 200 stars. Man, I appreciate you, man. The Best family. And then I know when it's on Facebook, that's y'all names, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Facebook community going strong. The 200 stars, baby. Appreciate you. Let me give you another one. So, I wonder if he's going to say balance. I wonder if he's going to say as the flow of the game, right? There shouldn't be, like, I get it. Like, it's crass for me to say, okay, we will win the game if we just run the ball for 27 to 28 times because we are undefeated in the last blah, 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 blah times that the Cowboys did that. No, I'm not finna throw those cheap stats at you guys. It got to be within the context of the game, right? Of when you give touches and understanding that you set the tone in the first quarter. You set the tone. You shouldn't be sitting there saying, all right, we're going to wait till the second quarter around 5 minutes in to set the tone. You set that tone in the first quarter. You set it right then and there and let them know that we are the mighty Cowboys, right? Let them know. We're going to deliver this to you all night long, all night long, all night. That's what we do. We bring it all night long or all day long. We set the tone, and then everything else will soften up. Everything else will soften up. That's football. That's coaching. And you should be able to walk out there boldly with grace and mercy, right? And say, hey, we got the firepower to do such. And this is even before we talking about any of the wide receivers going out there grabbing them. Right? Come on.
I do. I know fans want to see Tony, especially after Sunday, get this 20 carry. He's the lead back. Everybody just move out of the way type thing. But I don't get the sense that's going to happen. And today's a good day at the Star because we got a chance to talk to all the assistant coaches, and we don't get to talk to them during the season other than during the bye week and then one time at training camp. And it's kind of, they make almost all of them available in like a 30-minute window, so you got to get what you can get. And I'll tell you what, running back coach Skip Pete was as good as anybody in terms of just talking about that group and the balance between using and Zeke and Tony Pollard. And the way he compared it is that Tony Pollard's like a race car where when they have him out there, they want to be able to maximize every touch that he gets because he has the chance to do what he did in that game against the Bears and have those big runs that he's turned several of them into long touchdown runs. And see, the thing is, though, is if you have a guy like that, you don't necessarily want him getting, the 18, 20, 25 carries because that will take away from what he is. When they have him out there, they want him to be at his best so that if a hole does open, he can take it to the house. And then, obviously, the other side of it is he compared Zeke to more of your, luxury sedan type who can last for several miles and you don't have to worry about the wear and tear as much. And is the physical type guy. And he compared them two to one being basically like a hammer and the other one being the sword. And that just the way that they work together, I just think that that's generally what they want. They want both of those guys to play together. And, of course, Jerry Jones, whenever he's talked about Zeke, he talks about how, the team goes as Zeke goes, and people roll their eyes at that. But I think it's more of the team will go as really Zeke and Tony Pollard together, especially with them not addressing wide receiver. I think they're solid at wide receiver, but where they're at right now, without making an addition there, I think it leans even more to if this running game is elite, coupled with that defense, then they should win a lot of games.
Oh, my goodness, man. That was a great great analysis and info and intel from John Machota. Protect that man at all costs, Cowboy Nation. And the link to that excerpt is now in the chat area. And let me say this. Have you ever seen someone that had two automobiles and they both cars, right? And you have a cousin or someone that may have a F-150, right? And nobody knows the cousin or the friend or the person, you may be in the chat, that person with the truck until you need them, right? When you don't want to use the U-Haul money, you want to reach out and say, hey, let me call Cousin Tyrone. Hey, man, hey, cuz, man, you got that truck, man, let me use that truck. Because my sedan can't pull. I don't have a hitch on the back of it, right? You see, Zeke is that truck, and Tony is that nice whip. And Zeke ain't any truck, right? He's like that nice, which one of those trucks? And my brother got one. He got the Tesla doggone interior, and he got the moonroof. They ain't let back, boy. You jump into that thing, boy, you be like, woo, woo. And that man can scope, it can pull, it can reverse, got cameras, got projections and everything. I mean, I think it's a Ram or something that he got, a Dodge. But they got those trucks now that you jump in that thing, it's floating. You jump into that, you probably, once you ride it, you don't even want to get into another car. You be riding high. You want to ride high with it, right? But what I'm saying is that, yeah, Zeke is a luxury truck, and Tony is that luxury car, right? Two-seater, right? You don't want a lot of people riding with you with the two-seater. That used to be my excuse back in the day. You don't want to ride with a lot of hard legs. You be riding with the soft leg. I got a two-door coupe, man. I ain't on 2 doors, man. Hey, man, I'm just going to be me and her. I can't rock it. Hey, dog, can I ride? Nah, dog, you're going to have to hit up my brother, man. He got the truck, Didn't want a lot of hard legs. Fellas know what I'm talking about. Only soft legs beside me, man. We don't want to be two guys in a sports car. You know what I'm saying? Admit, this is from Gut. I admit I'm nervous about next week. In Rodgers' mind, the only thing worse than losing to the Lions on the road is losing to Mike McCarthy at home. But don't be nervous. Don't be nervous, man. Don't be nervous, man. Just understand that the Cowboys will be ready. And I think Mike McCarthy, this ain't the old Cowboys. Me and Big Game James got into it, brotherly got into it and said, he was like, hey, so you trying to tell me that this ain't the same old Cowboys? I said, no, this is not the same old Cowboys. Then we lost week 1. He was like, hey, Law, you want to eat that crow? No, we're not the same team. We are a different team. That cope. Chill Bill, y'all know what I'm talking about. And there's nothing wrong. The automobile, the greatest thing about an automobile, doesn't matter which kind you got. Motorcycle, a 4-cylinder car, 6-cylinder, 8, luxury. They all can get to point A to point B. It's the ride along with that. And it's the driver too. Can they switch that thing in gears, right? So the Cowboys, the driver of those automobiles is Kellen Moore. And in order for him to understand to get to point A to point B on the winning side of things, right, without burning up the clutch, is knowing how to utilize the right and proper weapons, right? Sometimes you don't need the Ferrari or the Mercedes, the Lexus, right? Coupe to do things. Sometimes you need to call Tyrone or call Cousin Zeke and say, I need to pull some stuff, man. I got a bell. Hey, man, great deal, man. They said I only got 2 hours to pick it up, man. Come on, man. Come on. Let me use your truck for 2 hours, right? Let me use your truck for a quarter, right? But you got to know when to utilize said, E350 Benz two-door coupe. There's an OMG Frenzy. I need to have somebody to Photoshop that, the car analogy, right? Put Zeke into one of those F-150s or whatever the nice trucks that's out there, the best trucks out there, and put Tony into one of those two-door coupes, one of those nice type of cars, right? And then put the Texas Stadium behind them, so you know how that goes. Got to know how to shift gears just right. Yep, hero, all right? There's people right now, if you give them a nice fancy car, they probably can't get it out of the first gear, right? Can't pull it up a hill. Get to shaking, right? Gonna kill everybody, and they'll be the only one alive. Don't you hate that? Rascal can't ride it, kill everybody, and everyone gone, and he be the one still alive, right? Benz or trash, Choctaw, Choctaw, are you American-made car guy or you a foreign car guy? Part of this is Chevy Malibu. Well, as long as he ain't a Prius, you know what I'm saying? And nothing wrong with a Prius. They very efficient. They very efficient, right? They save a lot on gas. But when it's trying to pull that hill, baby, it get to shaking. I'm a mechanic, I know. Okay. I see you, Choctaw, yeah. The Mercedes-Benz, they don't want other people to touch them, They only want Mercedes people to touch their vehicle. Secret Cowboy fan, shout out to you, Christopher J. Just quick Q&A for everybody that's here, that's watching. I thank y'all so much. Really appreciate you for tuning in. This league is wide open. That's the message that I want to get out today. And the standings, as we look at it, Buffalo 6-2, the New York Jets 6-3. And the Miami Dolphins 6-3. They got an interesting party over there, and the New England 5-4 right now, and then the Baltimore Ravens 5-3. That's a unique division. Cincinnati 5-4. All right, Titans 5-2. They playing tonight, so a lot of things can happen. The Indianapolis Colts 3-5. The Jags are 3-6, 1-6. So we played the Jags into Houston, right? So we play all three of these teams, right? We play all of these teams right here. AFC South, we haven't played a single team yet, right? So that's good for us, right? Those boys are still in contentions, but we'll be ready to fight that division. They're pretty much everybody in a tight neck road over there to their victories, okay? And then if you look at it, starting from the NFC East, if you guys can see, the Philadelphia Eagles, they're 8-0. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys in second place. And if we look at our particular division records, we on a game behind. So that's why I look at it like this. Yeah, they may be 2-0. They still got to play the Giants twice, right? And then they got to see us again, and they got to face Washington again. So we'll see how all of that gets down to the business part of it on the latter part. But I'm looking. The only one game literally behind us. Because when we face them again, we could tie that thing up just like this. So that's why I'm looking, right? And who the Philly play next? Y'all put that in the chat. All right, so Washington team, they fought hard this day, earlier, and it didn't come out victorious. The Minnesota Vikings, I saw a lot of holes in that team. They're 7-1. The Green Bay Packers, we faced them next. So I can't wait to see how that's going to all unfold there. Tampa Bay, they are in top of their division today. They're 4-5. Of course, the Atlanta Falcons 4-5. So, hey, that's interesting. One thing that I heard from the announcers and the analysis of Tony Romo against those Bucs, that he was saying that basically they're getting healthy, right? A team that you don't want to face in the playoff is a team that started off hot, got slow, got punched into reality, and get back hot again. Right? So that's why I say be careful when you pick. You don't want to pick too soon, right? We've seen teams pick before. We don't want to pick too soon. And the Cowboys, my friends, we just starting, right? The Seattle Seahawks, they're becoming red hot now. They're 6-3, right? The San Francisco 49ers 4-4, right? The Rams, they're where they at. They are where they are. All right, and then the Arizona Cardinals, I don't care. So it's wide open, baby. The whole NFL is wide open, and we got to figure out things on that. Yeah. Oh, Henry. Henry must did something big right then, huh? Dallas KC will be in the Super Bowl. This is from Big D's, man. Appreciate you. 83. Are you James Washington, Big D's, 83? You know, I just play with you, man. Unless you just born in 83 and you just want to represent. Seattle is for real. Kenneth Walker is for real, right? You know, Kenneth Walker. That boy good. I'm really looking forward to the Eagles. This is from Kelly Lawson. Appreciate you. Well, he said she said she looking for the Eagles' downfall, right? Well, I just want us to be who we are when we face them. Hot. So, Cowboy Nation, that's my thoughts on this entire bye week. Y'all already know.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
I'm going to get back to family over here. I appreciate you guys so much on this bye week, man. I thank y'all, man, for getting me to 89K on the YouTube, man, on my journey to 95. I can't wait, man. 95, baby. When we get there, we really going to pop some champagne bottles, baby. You know, you already know it'll be something special. You know, when I get to 95, I want y'all to keep me at 95, right? Don't give me to 100. You know, let's not all rush over 95, right? I just can't wait, man. But shout out to y'all so much. Really, really, really appreciate you. Shout out to the Facebook group, too, to get me up to 35, man. I appreciate y'all, man, so much. Yeah. Shout out to you, Coach Marv. I saw you in the chat. Appreciate you. And one of the things that he said that I'm reading briefly while we was talking is that, hey, there's a hope for Odell Beckham because you don't know what you're going to get, right? And we can only look at past performance. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get extreme good measures from results. I said everyone have a reason, but results are what matter, Cowboy Nation. Well, regardless of the wide receiver, the main focus is to the formula. And shout out to my guy West Coast, who been battling this formula too. Run the ball, right? If we run the ball, it opens up everything for CeeDee Lamb, right? It even opened up a bag for Dalton Schultz, right? Gallup, he looked good last game, right? We look back at it. Now we need to see levels of consistency. Consistency is everything. And anything and everything that you guys do, trust and believe. Establish a level of consistency. Be committed to your commitment. Try to put it in memory. As my cadence improves, right? You guys know one thing from me is to establish the consistency. I establish the rapport with you guys.
No days off.
Keep everything the same. Keep grinding. Lord, why do you grind? It's because my reason. My why is different from most. Write this down, Cowboy Nation, and put it in your hearts. How bad do you want something? If you want a thing bad enough to go out there and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all of your desires of it makes you quite mad enough that you don't get tired of it, and it makes you hold all other things tawdry and cheap, if life itself seems empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and dream is about it, if you'll gladly go out there and sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, and lose all terror of your mind for it, if you would just simply go after the thing you want, if dogged and grim and besiege and beset it with the help of Almighty, you will get it. Shout out to Les Brown for that speech there. My mom hit me up the other day and said, baby, I love it when you say that. I said, yeah, because you inspired and pushed me, and I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it this weekend. So next week will be a little different in schedule, Cowboy Nation, because I'm going to go see moms, right, in Mississippi. So I appreciate y'all so much. Yes, please use chirping from Facebook user. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. The name is Law Nation. And remember, you're listening to nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing but the best. DC for life. Let's go. Michael, thank you. Congrats. Thank you for all the great content. Always keep it 100. I thank you so much. Do y'all want to run it up? Let's go. Let's run it up, baby. Let's go. He said, yeah. James Washington. He be that guy. Watch. Come on, baby. Roll credits. Come on. Hey. Brandy, appreciate you. F-150 or Ferrari? Huh? Or a Lexus? Or that Mercedes? Cool. Aston Martin, huh? Eastside Harold, shout out to you. And God, appreciate you. Thank those who support the channel. We're gonna let the credits roll for a second. Come on. One day, when I roll these credits for those who support, the line will be longer than Shaq Fake, huh? Let's go. Shout out to the 601. Let's go. Sadiqwa, let's go. Appreciate you. I rock the mule. Come on. OMJ, appreciate you. Come on. Run it. Don't need no deals, I make the deal. I have to take it to a meal lately. I just wanna run it up. Yeah. Come on. Kinda check a song. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Y'all check out my guy Koye film session too. He put some highlights on Anthony Get Down Brown. Now I ain't finna go put up any reverse highlights on it, but y'all check it out. Appreciate you, 89K. Remember, thank you, Sadiqua, for the super chat. Good night, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you, and thank you. Come on. I'm gonna have to call out my guy Okoye one more time. Y'all check out his film session and analysis of Anthony Brown. DC for life.
Simply because you don't have evidence that something does exist does not mean that you have evidence that something doesn't exist. Well, what I'm saying is that there are known knowns and that there are known unknowns, but there's also unknown unknowns. Things we don't know that we don't know.
Yes, indeed. Be sure to be safe. And since we won the last game, it'll still be Victory Monday tomorrow. Salute.